Another nerd science bangerino. Could Batman survive Michael Myers? Yes, he can. I mean, this is probably going to be the easiest one we've freaking went through so far. I mean, Michael Myers, he's normal. He's human. There's nothing really too paranormal about him or anything, really, at least from what I know. The last Michael Myers movie that I watched, I'm pretty sure is the newest one, and I'm pretty sure they beat him. They just burned him in the house or whatever, left him burning in a basement or something like that. So he's durable, but at the same time, he can be destroyed like easily. Like people could put him down so easily, and Batman will have no trouble at all. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Could Batman survive Michael Myers? I think he does, easy, honestly.
Feet off the ground, not propped, not leaned, pinned. Batman crouches at the edge of the scene, running the numbers. The victim weighs roughly 180 pounds. The force required to embed a human body in masonry like this sits somewhere north of 3,000 newtons, more than a car crash at highway speed. He switches to thermal imaging. The alley goes completely cold. No heat signature, no breath cloud, nothing. Have you ever wondered what kind of human being generates zero detectable body heat? Tonight, Batman is about to find out. When your thermal imaging fails, you fall back on acoustics. Batman goes
acoustics,
filtering the ambient noise of Gotham. Distant sirens, rain on steel fire escapes, the hum of a transformer 2 blocks east. He's listening for footsteps, displaced air, the soft drag of a boot on wet concrete. Here's the science behind why thermal imaging failed in the first place. The human body maintains a core temperature around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and that heat radiates constantly through the skin, where the body's metabolic rate drops so low it mimics a hibernating animal, virtually stopping internal heat production. On a freezing Gotham night, this severe metabolic shutdown could theoretically blur the line between the human body and the surrounding environment. Not visible, but close enough to matter.
He is cool though. Michael Myers is cool, even though he's not really that interesting to me, but he's definitely cool. He's cool.
Myers comes from the blind spot. No warning, no sound, closing the gap before Batman's auditory filter can process the threat. Batman reacts on instinct. A lateral palm strike targeting the femoral nerve cluster on the outer thigh. That strike, delivered correctly by a fighter of Batman's caliber, generates somewhere between 800 and 1,200 newtons of focused force, enough to temporarily disrupt nerve function in a normal human, drop them to one knee, and buy 3 to 5 seconds. Myers doesn't drop. He doesn't even shift his weight. The knife comes in a flat arc. Batman catches it on the Kevlar weave gauntlet. The blade skids across the
he almost hit him in the neck.
Close enough to clip the jaw. A standard chef's knife driven by that arm speed generates roughly 400 psi at the tip. Without the gauntlet, that cuts clean through the radial artery. This is where congenital insensitivity to pain becomes the most important medical term of the night. CIP is a rare genetic condition where the nervous system simply does not transmit pain signals to the brain. No pain receptors firing means no shock response, no adrenaline dump triggered by injury, no involuntary muscle guarding. Batman's strike landed perfectly. The problem is that perfect technique only works if the target's nervous system plays by the rules. Encounter verdict, Tier B survival. Batman is upright and functional, but the standard physical takedown playbook is closed. Every move designed to cause enough pain to end a fight simply doesn't register. The question stops being how hard you can hit and becomes...
Again, Michael Myers is very, very durable.
Something far more uncomfortable. How do you stop a target that cannot feel pain? Batman fires the grapnel and pulls himself up to the roofline, watching Myers below. Still moving, same pace, same direction, like nothing happened at all. He needs a controlled environment, somewhere the psychology of fear can be turned into a weapon. There's only one place in Gotham built for that. Arkham Asylum's East Wing has been condemned for 11 years. No power, no staff, ceilings that drop chunks of plastic.
Wait, is Batman about to get some help from some Arkham inmates or something?
Warning, and corridors that funnel sound in ways that make every footstep feel like it's coming from 3 directions at once. Batman chose it deliberately. This is his terrain. He deploys smoke pellets at the 4 entry points, filling the ground floor with a dense chemical fog that cuts visibility to roughly 2 feet. He moves to the upper level, using the inverted gargoyle position, letting Myers walk into the dark below him. The plan is textbook.
That was clean.
Disorient, isolate, terrorize, then drop. Batman has broken hardened criminals in under 90 seconds using nothing but darkness and the sound of his own cape. Myers walks through the smoke at the same pace he walks everywhere. Batman drops from the beam, locks a restraint line around Myers' ankle, and hauls him up. A normal person at that height, in that position, with zero visibility, would be in full autonomic panic within 15 seconds. Heart rate spiking past 160 BPM. Cortisol through the roof. Rational thought essentially offline. Batman watches the vitals on his cowl sensor. Myers' heart rate holds at 58 beats per minute. Steady, unhurried, like a man waiting for a bus. The fear experiment is over in about 4 seconds. Batman shifts.
What if instead of designing
fearless.
thumbnails, you could just paste
Just
your
like
YouTube
all
link
the
into
other
our AI,
horror
and it would
dudes
create
too.
soul-stopping
I mean, like
thumbnails
all of them
for
are
you.
fearless for like
kinetic
they don't care. They'll just keep going and keep going because they know they'll just come back and come back and come back. Just an endless cycle, you know.
He plants explosive gel charges along the load-bearing wall to Myers' left. A controlled detonation designed to bring roughly 800 pounds of fractured concrete down onto a specific 6-foot radius. The math is straightforward. Kinetic energy from that volume of masonry, factoring in the drop height, generates somewhere around 18,000 joules of impact force. For context, a professional boxer's hardest recorded punch delivers roughly 4,000 joules. Batman just hit Myers with 4 of those simultaneously, distributed across his entire body. Myers goes down under the rubble. Batman waits, counts. Then the concrete moves. Here's the concept that makes that possible, at least in theory. Hysterical strength. Documented cases where humans under extreme neurological conditions lift objects far beyond their normal physical capacity.
Damn, what?
The mechanism involves the brain
That man stopped
temporarily
that.
removing its own biological muscle output. The catch is that muscles tearing themselves apart is usually the immediate consequence. Myers' body doesn't appear to pay anything. Encounter verdict, Tier C survival. Batman's psychological warfare produced 0 effect.
I'm not even taking the tier survival stuff into account because honestly, Batman beats Michael Myers regardless. Like, there's no way Batman dies to Michael Myers. There's just no way.
And his heaviest environmental weapon bought maybe 40 seconds. The mind cannot be broken because there's no fear response to exploit, which leaves one remaining biological option. Shut the body down at the source, cut the oxygen to the brain, and force an unconscious state through pure physiology. The lower levels of Arkham flood during heavy rain. Tonight, 6 inches of black water covers the floor of the basement.
Heavy rain, we like that.
And the ceiling drops to just over 7 feet. Batman chooses this deliberately. Tight space, limited swing radius. No room for the knife to build momentum. He's done running the environment against Myers. Now he's going to run biology against him. The target is the carotid artery. Specifically, both of them simultaneously. A rear naked choke, applied correctly, compresses the carotid arteries on either side of the neck, reducing blood flow to the brain by roughly 90%. At that compression level, a healthy adult loses consciousness in 8 to 12 seconds. Not from pain, not from fear, from pure oxygen starvation at the cellular level. Batman has applied this technique to larger, stronger opponents than Myers. He knows the exact pressure required. He knows the timing. He locks in from behind, forearm across the throat, opposite hand bracing the back of the skull. Weight distributed to prevent any counterthrow. Textbook, clean, inescapable by any normal human standard. He starts counting. 8 seconds. Myers is still upright. 15 seconds. Dragging Batman through the water with no visible reduction in output. 30 seconds. Batman holds the lock, recalculating. At 30 seconds of full carotid compression, the brain has been without adequate oxygen long enough that cellular damage begins. Freedivers, the best in the world, train for years to push their mammalian dive reflex to its absolute limit, slowing heart rate down to around 30 BPM to conserve oxygen. Even they cannot sustain brain function indefinitely without air. The 4-minute threshold is where irreversible neurological damage begins in a standard human brain. Myers crosses the 4-minute mark. Then the knife finds a gap. Myers perfectly targets the inner core.
Wait, how the hell is Batman holding Michael Myers in a chokehold for 4 minutes? That's not happening. And second, while he's doing the chokehold, there's no way Myers can even go for a stab if Batman's holding if Batman's choking him out. Like, there's no way to stab unless he's like stabbing back or something like that. But I mean, maybe that's what he's doing. But you know, obviously the video is showing like Michael Myers is stabbing him or something like that. So it could be that he's just like stabbing him in the back or something, or not in the back, but you know, stabbing behind him so that he can try to get Batman off him or something like that.
Face on the lower left of the Batsuit's torso. A flex point where the tri-weave titanium-coated fibers are thinner to allow for high-mobility combat. The blade doesn't penetrate the primary ceramic plate, but the kinetic force behind it is enough to bypass the structural integrity of the weave, crack 2 ribs, and drive Batman back a half step. He breaks the hold to avoid follow-through. Let's talk about what that stab actually required. The weakest points in Batman's Arkham armor sit at roughly 650 psi of penetration resistance. A standard kitchen knife driven by an average adult generates somewhere around 150 psi. Myers' thrust, based on the impact data Batman's suit just logged, came in at over 900 psi. Batman puts 12 feet of distance between them, breathing hard, one hand on the cracked ribs.
Look at Myers is sitting there.
The lower left panel is compromised. One more clean hit there, and the armor stops being armor. Encounter verdict, Tier D survival. The chokehold, the one technique that bypasses pain tolerance, fear response, and physical conditioning entirely, failed because the biological rules it depends on simply don't apply here. Batman is bleeding, one panel down, and running out of conventional options fast. The only move left is to stop thinking like a scientist and start thinking like an engineer. Batman surfaces on the GCPD rooftop.
I don't know. Like Batman, in reality, Batman would not go for a chokehold on Michael Myers too. I don't think he would do that. If anything, he would probably use some non-lethal explosion device or something like that, or something so that he could just restrain him. You know what I mean? And understand like his biology, I guess. Michael Myers isn't cooked because Batman's not gonna cook him, but he'll, just stop him for a little bit, I guess.
Stories.
Did you lose a lot of money?
God.
Sports betting?
No,
on
don't gamble.
DraftKings or
Don't
FanDuel?
gamble.
Up. Rain coming in sideways off the river. He's been running the encounter data in the background of his cowl the entire night. Every strike, every counter, every second of that choke, and something about the pattern doesn't add up. Myers hasn't been wandering. He's been moving in a deliberate arc, pushing Batman east, away from the populated blocks, away from the shadows, away from every environmental advantage Batman tried to establish. The asylum, the flooded corridor. Batman chose those locations, except he didn't. Not really. He was herded into every single one of them. Myers has been running his own experiment. Batman files that away and switches to the heaviest tools left in the loadout, the Wreck Gun, a remote electrical charge weapon that delivers a 50,000 volt burst capable of disabling armored vehicles. Fires twice in quick succession. At that voltage, the electrical current disrupts every motor neuron in the target's body simultaneously.
Yeah, he just drops.
Muscle seizes. The heart's electrical rhythm scrambles.
Doesn't even
The
make a
standard human being
noise.
goes down instantly and stays down for several minutes. Myers staggers. That's new. First physical reaction of the night. Batman follows immediately with a freeze grenade. Liquid nitrogen dispersal, dropping the ambient temperature in a 6-foot radius to roughly negative 196 degrees Celsius in under 2 seconds. At that temperature, cellular water crystallizes almost instantly. Muscle tissue becomes rigid.
That's kind of badass, like Michael Myers on top of a roof, just frozen solid.
Joint fluid freezes solid. The physics are absolute. No amount of strength overcomes a body that has literally turned to ice at the molecular level. Myers is encased from the knees down. Locked to the rooftop, the suit's sensor array reads his core temperature dropping fast. Then the ice cracks. Not slowly, not with visible effort. It just cracks. A sharp fracture line running up through both legs simultaneously. And Myers takes one step forward.
That's one thing I like about Michael Myers is that he's a silent demon. No matter if he gets hit with a gun or gets stabbed, he just looking at his wounds and just still coming after you. I love that about him. Like, and I did say in the beginning, I'm not too interested in Michael Myers, but that's the only thing that I really like about him for us, just how cold and emotionless he is, you know what I mean?
Fundamental laws of structural embrittlement. When biological tissue drops to those extreme sub-zero temperatures, it shatters under pressure. The fact that Myers bends and breaks out of ice without his frozen legs snapping suggests his bone and tissue density operate on non-Newtonian level, essentially forming a cellular lattice that resists absolute zero. Here's where Batman stops running biological models entirely. Because the data has been consistent all night, every system that governs a human body, pain, fear, oxygen, temperature, electrical nerve function, has registered, responded, and then been overridden by something that doesn't show up in any medical literature. Myers isn't ignoring biology, he's using his body as a vehicle, and whatever is actually driving it doesn't have a nervous system to disrupt. You cannot choke out a concept. You cannot freeze an idea. Batman calls the Batwing. The suppression.
Why are all the most busted characters just a concept or an idea? Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but still, it's just hilarious.
Is deployed from the undercarriage. High tensile Wayne Enterprises restraint lines rated for over 40,000 pounds of pull force. The same spec used to anchor Batwing to carrier decks in high wind conditions. They wrap Myers at the chest, waist, and ankles in under 3 seconds. Batman simultaneously triggers the winch of the rooftop HVAC housing, a multi-ton Wayne Enterprises industrial air conditioning unit, and drops it directly onto the cable anchor point, pinning Myers flat against the concrete under approximately 8,000 pounds of dead weight. Myers doesn't move, not because he's unconscious, because he's waiting. Encounter verdict?
Because he's
Here
waiting.
is survival. Batman is upright. Target is contained, and the night ends without a fatality. But the containment is entirely mechanical. There's no biological explanation for why any of this worked, because nothing biological stopped Myers. Steel and weight stopped him, for now. Myers lies pinned under 8,000 pounds of steel, breathing slowly, eyes open, simply waiting. You can calculate the physics of a punch and map the biology of a chokehold, but science has no metric for pure evil. Could Batman hold
For
it forever?
pure evil.
Leave a comment below and subscribe.
Is
for
that
more
what he would
scientific
be
battle
though?
tips.
Just because he's such a quiet cooker doesn't mean he's evil. I don't think Michael Myers is evil. He's just a dude that wants to relive his Halloween childhood night over and over and over again. That's it. That's it. Nothing evil about it. Just, you know, chilling. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below though. Could Michael Myers beat Batman, or could Batman survive Michael Myers? Yes, easily. Like, no sweat off Batman's back for this. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Stay tuned for the next Nerd Science video, though. He said there was like a banger or something incoming. He said there was something big coming, so we're still waiting on that. So stay tuned, boys. Stay tuned. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. Yeah, wish. That'll do.